Hey Clashers, we have the Dragon Juke, the new hero now in the game, and he was added with 3 common equipments. On top of that, in the update, we had new troops, new spell levels, which had an impact on the meta, but as well on what equipments are getting used and what equipments are strong. This is why we're going to take a look at every single hero today and talk about their best equipments to use if you want to maximize your power. With that being said, let's kick things off with the Dragon Duke, because next to those 3 common equipments, already an epic equipment was teased for April, and with this clip yesterday, it seems like that Supercell has officially already teased how this new equipment looks like. Because based on the gameplay, we see the Dragon Duke flying across the village, but that is just after he has attacked the Ricochet Cannon, which means it kind of seems like that's an active ability, and with that ability, he's going to fly across the village. In this clip, he is not triggering any traps, which means that's like another thing we can see. And then as well, he's kind of one-shotting out of those defenses, but that on the other side can be as well just the regular Supercell teaser, because if you look back at like damage equipments which were released, pretty much all of them were one-shotting defenses in their initial teaser. So yeah, that does not say pretty much anything whatsoever. But overall, it's an interesting equipment now, and we have to think about what other equipments combine well with it so we can pre-plan our upgrades. Because currently the by far best combination is the Heart with the Stun Blaster. The reason for this is quite simple. First off, the third equipment is pretty bad and kind of useless, so you should not really touch it. And those 2 equipments just give everything the Dragon Duke needs. First off, self-healing, because he already takes reduced damage by traps and such, so having self-healing is just an incredible stat on this hero. And on top of that, then with the second equipment, with the Stun Blaster, you just stun everything around you, which means he takes even less damage and he can put out even more damage. This is why this is right now the by far best combination. And then as well, you have to think about how useful is the new epic equipment, where you can pretty much relocate your Dragon Duke to the other side of the village. Like, what strategies could use that, and how could you combine that equipment then with the existing ones right now? Well, let's go through the Stun Blaster first, because we just talked about that. Well, if it's an active ability, like it looks like in that clip, it would mean that we press the Duke ability, we're stunning everything, but the Dragon Duke is leaving the area to the other side. Why would you do that? You're stunning an area and then leaving it? That makes no sense, right? So that combination would be kind of bad. So that would be out of the window. The next one then with the Flame Blower. I mean, that equipment, as I said earlier, is kind of bad anyways. But just think about it. It's just like some damage and then he's flying away. Like, Leaderhuts can repair it up again. Wow, I mean, that kind of sounds really bad as well. And then we have the third option of the self-healing. That sounds pretty good, right? Especially because if it's a passive equipment, this means that you have the non-stop healing, and then when you're using the ability to get to the other side of the village, that would be actually pretty solid maybe. But either way, that is more on the speculation part. But if you're thinking about upgrading one equipment first right now for the Dragon Duke, I would go for the Heart. The next hero on the list is going to be the Barbarian King. And just out of the window, the first 2 combinations in this ranking are, in my opinion, completely equally good. The reason, though, why I have the Spiky Ball and the Snake Bracelet on the number 1 position is, I'm just saying how it is, I'm just tired of those idiotic comments of like, oh, you're putting the new equipment on top because Supercell has paid you. It's just getting annoying at this point, so let's just put it on number 2, whatever, I don't really care. Both of them are equally strong in my opinion, and I'm currently using only right now the Stick Horse with the Gauntlet just because I think it's really good, and as well something maybe even more important because right now the game is on the easier side. It is a lot of fun seeing a gigantic Barbarian King just smashing an entire base and just going through everything like it's nothing. That is just fun, and that's why I'm currently using mostly that equipment combination. But don't worry, as I said, the Spiky Ball and the Snake Bracelet is completely equally good. It is just, I guess, really consistent. You know what you're getting for, and especially if you send your king on the outside, you're always going to have great value. The last combination is the Earthquake Boots with the Spiky Ball, which is still incredibly strong, but I feel like with more and more troops not really relying on walls anymore, I feel like the Earthquake Boots are not as important anymore, and it's more about the damage of this equipment combination. because you have now the torch for super witches and such, so you can just use the key on the outside. And if you do so, just go with the snake bracelet and the spiky ball, right? So I'm not really sure. I feel like with walls getting less and less important, the earthquake boots just losing that wall opening ability, and it's more about the damage, which it does well, but this is why it's on the number 3 position. Moving on, we're going to have the most boring hero when it comes down to equipments, because we had no changes for literally a year to this hero. Since the action figure was released, this equipment dominates the rankings when it comes down to the power of this Archer Queen. You just combine any other equipment with that action figure and you're going to have a great time. If you want to optimize it, go with the action figure and the magic mirror. If you're playing air attacks, just add this giant arrow. And then if you don't have the magic mirror, but you want to play ground attacks, just add the healer puppet. That's pretty much it if you're talking about the Archer Queen. With that, let's continue with the Minion Prince. The Minion Prince on the other side is interesting because I made sure that it's this time not as confusing as the last time, but the number 1 combination is the Dark Orb with the Meteor Staff. Now, the Meteor Staff, you can replace that with worse options. The number 1, the best combination is the staff. Then the second best option in this slot is the Dark Crown. And then the third best option in that slot is the Minion Puppet, or like the one where you're spawning the minions, right? So those are all 3 options, but it's like getting worse, which means Meteor Staff, Dark Crown, and then the Minion Puppet. That's pretty much how this works in this first position. And all 3 are getting combined with the Dark Orb. So, if you have the ores to upgrade, go with the Meteor Staff, because for every dragon type attack, Electro Dragon, Super Dragon, Regular Dragon, Dragon Rider, you're always going with that combination. Then if you're doing a Warden charge or something, you want to have the Minion Prince more isolated, then you can go with the Dark Orb and Metal Pants, for example. Otherwise, the Noble Iron and Metal Pants is another option, but the Dark Orb option is typically just straight up better. With that, we have the Minion Prince out of the way as well, and interestingly enough, we have mostly common equipments here. Because if we take a look at the next hero with the Royal Champion, it is back to all epic. In the number 1 position, we have the by far most versatile and most used equipment combination, which is the Electro Boots and the Rocket Spear. The last time I had the Frostflake in here, and again, it was the same thing. Oh, you're using a new equipment? How could you? I just put it in number 2 position. Whatever. Number 2 position, because of that, is the Frostflake with either the Electro Boots or the Rocket Spear. Both options are great. Both options work really, really nice with a lot of strategies, but it's more niche, that is for sure. So this is why I put it in the number 2 position and have the Spear and the Electro Boots in the number 1, because out of that combination, you pretty much always get value, and that is the nice thing about it. The third combination is going to have a comeback for sure as soon as the Bomb Hive is getting removed as the seasonal defense. But for Town of 17 and below, this already is just a game changer for Royal Champion charges, Electro Boots, and the Haze Vial. And with that, we're getting to another hero which is having a ton of common equipments. Really good ones. Kind of like the Minion Prince. But the Warden, at this point, it is just insane how many combinations you can play. Out of those 3, the first 2 I would say are the most used. And at this number 3 position, you could fill in anything. But hey, let's start at the beginning, okay? Let's start with the number 1 position. If you're playing pretty much any air attack, like Electro Dragons, Dragon Riders, I don't know, like Super Dragons, what other dragons do we have? Inferno Dragons, whatever. It is always Eternal Tome and Healing Tome. Always the same. For some of those ground armies, you can use this combination as well. This is why it's, in my opinion, the number 1 combination. The number 2 combination is power-wise just incredible. It has the number 1 equipment in the entire game, in my opinion, which is the Fireball. This is the best equipment if you can play it. It's not easy to use, so this is why it's most likely never getting nerfed, even though it's so strong. But just because it can pretty much take down any base, even if you get little value, you can secret pathing, and it's just the perfect combination for the Rage Gem. Especially for Warden charges, for smash type attacks, it is going to be a game changer as soon as you're going to learn how to use that equipment. And then, as I said earlier, in this number 3 position, you could put anything. You could go with Eternal Tome and Torch. You can go with Rage Gem and Torch. You can go with Eternal Tome and Rage Gem. You can go with, like, there's endless options and there are more niche, which means that they're more dependent on the strategy you're pairing it with. But still, the Warden has a ton, literally a ton of amazing equipments you can combine depending on your strategy. The first two combinations, though, are the classics. Let's put it that way. With that being said, well, we are pretty much through the entire list of heroes, and we have talked about every single one of them. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or if at this point, I don't even, like, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the ranking. And I will see you guys back tomorrow with the next class video, because this time around, I have no, like, top strategies at the end of this one, because I will have them tomorrow. Make sure that you're coming back tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to take a look at the top 5 strategies right now in the game after the update, after the Juke release, after everything. Because I've talked with a couple of pros, couple of top legend pushers and such, because right now, do not get fooled. Many things are viable. Even the revive spell. I know, even that piece of trash spell is viable right now because how easy the game is and how strong the Dragon Duke is. So do not get confused about, again, something being really strong and something being usable, okay? But tomorrow we're going to take a look at the top 5 strongest strategies right now in the game. With that, thank you so much for watching the video. I will see you guys back tomorrow with the next one. Until then, see ya and bye-bye.